Hello everybody, how you doing? Okay, this video is about something that changed my life. It isn't that long ago, like, I don't know, maybe not even 3 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, maybe less, I'm not sure. We'll say 2 years ago. I didn't even know what a narcissist was. I didn't know what an empath was. I didn't know I was an empath. I didn't know I was, I actually used to find friends, by basically saying, "Hey, everybody, I'm a empath, and I get my sense of worth by making friends with narcissists. Is there any narcissists here that want to be my friend? Because I'm the perfect friend to a narcissist." Of course, I didn't know what those things were, and that's not really what I was saying. But like, if you would try to say those things without using the word narcissist and empath, that's basically like I basically would say that. Like I would actually tell people that, yeah, what makes me a good friend is, and just like incredible, like it's amazing. Like it is my fault that I've had so many narcissist friends. It is my fault that like my siblings have been narcissists, especially some more than others, but have been narcissists. My sister Misha never was a narcissist to me, by the way. She doesn't deserve that, but I grew up around narcissism, and I don't even blame my siblings, especially because I basically, like, they might not even be narcissists. I just made them narcissists just because. But like, I don't know what the hell was wrong with my head, but I just so that's why I'm making this video, because I want to when I study something, I go aggro. I study hard. Like some rules of studying that I use. I never learn something from one source. I always learn something from 3 or more, sometimes many sources, maybe even as many as 8 or 9 or 10 different sources to learn about one thing. I just could kind of go crazy, Right now I'm about ready to talk about narcissism. My favorite source and where I learned a lot of, maybe most of this stuff, was from the YouTube channel called Surviving Narcissism. That guy on there, it's actually a man and a woman, but it's mostly this man that does the videos. He's so good. Like he has changed my life. He's just, the way he words things. He has like a really gentle way of, and he's just he's good at what he does. Very good at what he does. But again, I wouldn't, subscribe to his channel. I highly recommend it. But that's just one source. Really, that's why I know so many things. I know so many things. I mean, I'm humble. If you want, I try to be humble. Humble means to be teachable. I'm teachable. Come and get to know me. I can admit I'm wrong. I can learn things, but you'll easily be able to tell, yeah, I also know a bunch of stuff. It's because I earn the things I know. I study. But I did this with narcissism for like maybe 6 months. I was watching like maybe 15 videos a day. Like I just everything on YouTube, like all the videos, people that didn't know what they're talking about, people that did, people that were therapists, people that weren't, just everything. That's just my style, so what I'm about ready to teach you now is the stuff that worked for me, and anyway. I mean, it really has changed my life big time. Okay, so this is what I've done here. It's called the 13 rules of the predictability of the narcissist. 666. I have videos on that. 666, the number of the beast. The mark on the forehead is their thinking. On their hand is their doing. It's 666 is a mistranslation. I have other videos on that. I should not go into detail about that. That's not what this video is about. But the narcissist epidemic is 666. But it's also the beast with 10 horns. It's Babylon too. The shit stem. Okay, so the thing about narcissists is these 13 rules, they help you deal with the narcissist, you know, because you might not be able to get away from them, or it'll help you know how to get away, how and when to get away from them, and how to protect yourself, you know. I wrote here, it says unchanging. So one of the things about these things is they don't change. You know, they don't change. Like you can let like a year go by, 2 years go by, and you call them back up again, and you think that they will have changed or softened up or something, and you call them up, and it's the next day after the last time you talked to them, even though it's been 2 years later. Like narcissists do not change. They don't soften up. They don't change. These rules of predictability do not change. They're indefinite and forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And they always work. They're just solid stone. It works every time. Okay? Okay, so first I want to kind of I deal with the narcissist right now in my life, but I have to be around this person. I don't want to be. I hate gossip, and the one thing narcissists do is they do smear campaigns. I don't want to be guilty of anything that has anything to do with gossip or anything like that. So I'll try not to give details about who this person is in case someone that knows me well enough might be able to figure out who I'm talking about. But I have to deal with her, and I, as an empath, you know, an empath, you can really get your energy sucked out of you, you know, and it's really unfair. So if you're around a toxic person, a narc, if you're around one of these people, they can just suck the energy out of you. And like most days, I come home from work and I eat, and then I sleep, and I'll after a 1 to 2 hour nap, I'll wake up for another hour and then go back to sleep again. You know, just like, and I haven't, oh my gosh, you know, that's an empath problem. We get people, you know, so like for me, it's extra damaging to be around a toxic person is what I'm trying to say, because they really drain me a lot, you know, but I have to be around this person because it's my job, you know. And so, you know, there I've given a little bit too much information, but you know, that's it might be a family member or your job or a boss or something like that, and you have to pay your rent, or you have to, you know, you might not have an option to get away from them, and you might be an empath like me, and it's really unfortunate, the damage. Like, you can just be about ready to just start crying. You want to curl up in a ball and just start crying, you know, and you know that nobody's gonna care or understand. It's just it's really it can be really painful. So as I noticed, one of the things on here is that they get easily tempered. So I was like, I'll help, you know, I was saying to myself, help, I'm like hurting here too much. What can I do? So I thought, why don't you try to use humor, you know? And I realized that she's like, is it Stone Cold Austin? What's the name of that professional wrestler that does the Slim Jims commercials? Stone Cold Austin? She's like stone cold. Just no love, niceness, or anything nice or kind about her. She's just mean, you know? And she has a temper, and she's angry all the time. And I thought it was funny. I thought I'd use humor, and so I started in my mind, I started calling her Stone Cold Austin, you know? Because she's like, if something goes wrong, she's like, the whole thing makes me want to stop and do a Slim Jim. You know? And then pretty soon I was just sitting there laughing, like right in front of her, laughing, and I couldn't help it. And I was like, then I was in pain because I was laughing. I didn't want to hurt her, you know, and I didn't want anybody, you know. I looked around, and I could tell that some people probably knew that I was laughing at her because she's so ridiculously angry and mean and everything. And I was like, oh crap, help, you know, help. You know, now I'm the bad guy, you know, because I'm making her look bad, which is kind of like I'm doing a smear campaign. I'm like, help. So I talked to a coworker, and I said, look, I'm an empath. I kind of told him, look, if I'm like in a bunch of pain, I need you to switch spots with me, because no one else dares to work around her but me. because she's so mean, you know. And so then I end up being the one that always has to work around her, because no one else dares to. And so I just told him, look, I need you to, if I'm in too much pain, I need you to switch spots with me, because it can get really unbearable, you know. And that was a mistake, because then he started talking about it as people are walking by. And then I was like, oh crap, now I'm guilty of gossiping. I'm like, oh, I can't, no one can help me. No, I can't. Like other people that are married people are lucky, because they can go home and they can talk to, like how I'm talking to you guys, they can talk to their spouse the same way, and kind of like vent and get some sympathy, you know, and some empathy from them, and help them deal with it. But for me, it's just like there's just nowhere. I'm a loner, you know, and I don't really have people in my life, so it's like there's just no sympathy or empathy or anything, anyone I can talk to. There's nothing I can do except just sit there and suffer and want to crawl up in a ball and cry. And I'm like, and I try a little bit, and then now I look like I'm a gossiper, and it's like, help, like, nah. So I'm just trying to, you know, and I'm laughing in front of her. It's like, the whole thing makes me want to stop into a Slim Jim. I'm like, oh my gosh, dude. Of course, she doesn't say that. You know what I mean? Anyway, so I'm not an expert either. Like, and my point is, like, that just barely happened the other day. Like, I don't know how to do it. I don't know. These things help tremendously, but at the same time, I don't know how to walk away from it completely unscathed either. Okay, so let's say you're trying. Okay, first let's just go over the rules. Number one, no compassion or empathy. They have no compassion or empathy. There's no compassion or empathy. Okay, so that's how you're going to need to know. That's really important. You're going to need to know that to understand them and to protect yourself, because the only way you can protect yourself is that they're predictable. And when they're predictable, that gives you the higher ground. Now, one of their things is right here, look, number 2, must keep the higher ground. No equality. Their relationships have no equality. But these 13 rules of predictability kind of gives you the higher ground in a way that's not mean. You know, you're protecting yourself, but in a way that they can't tell, because they're all about competition. Like, they're constantly in competition with everybody, because they're fighting to get higher ground, because they can have no equality in their relationship. Okay, so the first 2, no compassion, no empathy, must have the higher ground, no equality. So see how that works? So like if you're about ready to tell them something that requires them to have compassion or empathy, don't do it. Bite your tongue. Okay? If you're gonna want to explain to them your perspective, so there will be some equality, don't do it. Bite your tongue. They can't do it. Remember, that's the rule. Number 2, it says right there. Number 2, must keep higher ground, no equality. If you're trying to teach your perspective to them on hoping that there will be equality, won't happen. Their religion's the only true religion. Their beliefs are the only true belief. They don't have time for anything else. They may pretend like they do, but we'll get over that. We'll go through that later, you know? Nope, don't do it. Number 3, can't listen. They cherry pick to form a lie, so you think they listen to keep the higher ground. They can't listen. You know, you'll say, hey, I learned this thing the other day. It's this really cool thing, and this and that. And if you do this, and you'll show them your talent, or something you learned or something like that. With a little experience, you'll learn. They don't listen. They don't listen. They cherry pick what you say. They pick like key words. You know, like, and then I did this, and I chiseled this around the corner, and then I nailed this on the bottom of there, and then I did this, and this, and then they'll say, yeah, I was chiseling and nailing things the other day, you know, and it makes it sound like, because they said the word chiseling and nailing, it makes it sound like they listened, but they just took the word chisel and nailed and put it together with some sentence to make it sound like they care and like they listen. They don't listen at all. They just cherry pick to form a lie to make you think they listen. Okay? And it's always for the purpose of, and they wouldn't do that. They either don't listen because there's nothing in it for them, But if they're forming a lie, it's because they're getting something out of it. Narcissistic supply or higher ground or something, or they wouldn't bother. Number 4, everything they do, say, and give is done to their benefit. If they're giving you something, even if it's a compliment, if you think they're giving you a compliment just out of the kindness of their heart to show love to you and make you feel good, you're wrong. They don't give anything, not compliments. They don't give, say, or do anything unless they're getting something out of it. Okay? Number 5, they hate things you love that has nothing to do with them. I found out one of my friends was narcissist. I learned this and I used it as a trick. You can say, you know, out of everything I own, my favorite thing in the whole world is this thing right here. Out of everything I own, this is my favorite thing. You can tell them that, like if they're your roommate. Then you can set it down and go to work. When you come home from work, this is going to be broken, stolen, or missing in some way. Because it doesn't have anything to do with them. It's just some stupid red thing. And you love them, you're supposed to love them. How dare you love this red thing? They'll hate it because it has nothing to do with them. Number 6, they're always negative. See number 7. So we'll do number 7 next. They love gossip and fault finding. Okay, so they won't. They're just always negative. Always, like every time they open their mouth, it's always, man, people nowadays, man, this and that, man, these people are stupid, man, this, like literally everything they say is negative, and gossip is negative. So it might be gossip. It might sound not negative, but if it's gossip, that's negative. And fault finding. Man, you know, because it's the higher ground thing, you know. Man, I do everything good and no one else does. And everything's their fault and nothing's my fault, you know. Okay, fault finding. Number 7, talented at charm. So the reason why it says see number 7 is because they're talented at charm. You know, a narcissist, it's technically they can be a loner, but they're not loners. A narcissist, like they can't keep their friendships. You know, their friendships fall apart. They're not good at anything like that because they use charm because they can constantly bring in new friends and get that narcissistic supply. They know how to use the charm, but it's mostly just at first. Once they have you, then that's when you see that they're mean. But by then, because they've tricked you and gaslighted you, you'll have to look up what gaslighting means by yourself. You'll have to know what gaslighting means. But they use the charm. So like right here it says always negative. If they're not negative, it's probably because they're trying to charm you. And again, for their benefit. See number 4, okay? So their talented ability to be charming can be the exception to kind of any of these rules. But then again, they never do, say, or give anything unless there's something to their benefit. Rule number 4, right? Okay. Number 8, easily angered and scary. They're easily angered. You know, snap into a Slim Jim. You'll find yourself scared of them. You know, that's part of the reason I wanted to curl up in a ball and cry, because I was like, I'm scared of this person, you know? I'm like, she's scary. She's like I'll be like trying to open, you know, loosen a bolt or something like that, and I'm like, oh, can you loosen this bolt for me? She's got super strong hands, and she's like, yeah, Saturday Slim Jim. She can just like bend. She can like lift her. She's so much physically stronger than me, and she's just angry, and she has temper tantrums and slams things down and pushes things over and stopping into a Slim Jim. And it's like, I'm just like scared and just like hurt and just like, why is someone so mean? You know? And number 9. So if you find yourself scared, you know, good people they're not scary because, you know, they have goodness, and in the end they'll soften up and they won't hurt you. They'll say, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to scare you or hurt you. A narcissist isn't sorry because that means they did something wrong. And they don't care. They can't self-reflect. So if they were angry or scary, that's a negative thing. They can't see themselves ever doing anything wrong. Nothing's their fault. And being angry is a bad thing, so they can't self-reflect and see that they're scary or angry, so that they won't happen. Number 9, love to be appreciated but can't reciprocate. They love, like that's their whole mission. They're trying to get you to appreciate them, but after a while it's going to hurt you, because if they're a musician, you're like, oh, I love your music, come on, believe in yourself, you're just good at your music. But then you're all, you want to hear one of my songs? They'll never listen to one of your songs. And like, they can't reciprocate. You're like looking on the bright side and being encouraging to them. They're not going to give that back to you, because that's them appreciating you. They won't do that. They can't appreciate. Number 10, nothing is their fault. That's huge. Okay, so like, if you want, suddenly they're geniuses when it comes to that. Like, they're like genius at figuring out how nothing's their fault. And I mean, they are just absolutely brilliant at it. Wow, like they'll use so much creativity to figure out how nothing's their fault. Number 11, everything's your fault. Gaslighting. Okay, gaslighting, everything's your fault, and they're trying to make you feel crazy, and you'll start questioning your sanity, you know? Number 12, mirroring. Mirroring is a term the psychologists use for narcissists. They'll mirror. It's part of their style of charm. You'll say, man, I really love heavy metal music. Heavy metal music's my favorite. It's my thing, you know? Suddenly they love heavy metal. Oh yeah, dude, I love heavy metal too. My favorite band's Kiss. And they're like, right on, what's your favorite Kiss album? They don't know. You're like, oh, they don't even know. And they're like, yeah, and I also really like Rat. You're like, oh, what's your favorite Rat album? You know that one with that one, you know? And you're like, you realize that after a while, they don't even listen to heavy metal, you know? And then you're like, oh, I also really love punk. And they're like, oh, dude, I'm a total punk rocker, man. Suddenly they're a punk rocker, you know? You're all, I love the color blue. Suddenly they're wearing all blue clothes, and I'm, dude, I love the color blue too. It's called mirroring. And you're like, oh, what the hell? You know, because like mirroring, it's like it only lasts for so long, then it's not there anymore. And then you're like, oh, dude, the other day you were wearing blue. They're like, oh, what the fuck? I wasn't wearing blue. I hate the color blue. And they don't care if that's rude or anything. Number 12, grandiose sense of self. Nothing's their fault. No one else can do it but them. They have a grandiose sense of self. That's real important. And this one kind of loops back around. So see number 6, always negative, gossip. You know, like, man, I can, you know, like, only I can, you know, only their way, you know? Like something doesn't matter. It's like like, if this can be folded this way or this way to fit in a suitcase, and you're like, oh, you fold it this way and put it in the suitcase, they're like, oh, no, it must be folded this way, you know, only their way, you know. And again, see how that uses, you know, no compassion, no empathy, you know, grandiose sense of self, everything's your fault, you know. See how that's like using all. So that's it. So just you should freeze this and write these down. It'll change your life, okay? No compassion or empathy. Must keep the higher ground, no equality. Can't listen, cherry pick to formalize, so you think they listen to keep the higher ground. Everything they do, say, and give is done to their benefit. 5, they hate things you love that has nothing to do with them. 6, always negative. See number 7, love gossip and fault finding. Number 7, talented at charm. Number 8, easily angered and scary. Number 9, love to be appreciated but can't reciprocate. Number 11, nothing is their fault. Number 10, number 11, everything's your fault, gaslighting. Number 12, mirroring. And number 13, grandiose sense of self. Okay? So you use these tools to deal, you know, to know when not to apply yourself, because they can't. And so if they start to do, like, if one of them watched this video and noticed that you were using these principles, remember how charm is kind of their thing, where they'll use a little bit of charm by saying, they'll say, oh, my bad, to make it sound like they're capable of something being their fault. you know. But you just have to be smart enough to know that someone that says my bad once in 6 months isn't someone that can, you know what I mean? They're probably just trying to do some kind of manipulation tactic or something. You'll get better at it, but these things will change your life. I hope it helps.